is College Game Day, and we are talking business to get you in the mood for a weekend full of football. And a special shout out to Rick Gamboa. He's a linebacker for the University of Colorado. He's the nephew of my good buddy Ruben Gamboa, who runs the installation side of our surveillance companies, doing high-end enterprise systems all over the country in casinos and other types of businesses. And this is not a commercial for SSI. This is really a commercial for perseverance, for guys that this guy was a red shirt last year, comes in, finds an opportunity, and becomes the team's leading tackler. Great story of perseverance, and really in business and in sports, there are so many parallels. There are so many ties. So this isn't just a show about business. This is a show about winning. And people ask me a lot of times, Mark, I've got a number of businesses. Mark, how do you choose a CEO for one of your companies? And my canned answer is that a CEO is like the lead singer of a rock band. He may sing a little bit more country, one may sing a little bit more soft rock, and she may even be an insanely hardcore rocker. But the great CEOs all have one thing in common: they make you want to get up and move around a little bit. So we hope to do that a little bit today on the show. And today we're going to be talking business partners. And business partners it's not the same as a CEO. In some cases, it is the same. But really, when I choose a business partner, I look for much more. And my canned answer on the business partner, how do you choose a business partner, Mark? I usually say it's somebody I want to go out and drink a cold beverage with, or maybe go out and play slow pitch softball with. But in reality, it's much more than that. It really is about the bond that you have with your business partner. Stephen Covey says great partnerships share the same philosophy. It's win-win or no deal, and I like that. But what is the secret ingredient to a guaranteed winning business partnership? My experience with business partners has led me to a philosophy that it's all about commitment. Commitment to an unbreakable bond and commitment to never letting go. So what would you risk for your business partner? What would you sacrifice for your partner tomorrow? Are you currently pursuing his or her long-term goals like they're your own? Is your commitment to his or her happiness as strong as your desire for your personal gain? Are your business partners committed to building that unbreakable bond? I guess there's only three answers: yes, no, or yes if. But know that there are people out there that would die for their business partners. Some of you guys know my story, multiple businesses, the first one being the newspaper story. And I'm just going to share a quick story about something that helped my business partnership with my brother strengthen so much. And strengthening your business partnership is something, strengthening those bonds is something that should happen early and often. And so much of that is built around a bond. So we are dropped off in the middle of Auburn, and little kids, 4th and 5th graders, and we have time to kill. We got money in our pocket, and we decide, let's do something besides going to the movies. Let's find the American River. And we had been down there as little kids, but we hadn't been to the American River in a long time, and we didn't know our way around Auburn. So we hiked down into the canyon, and we found the American River. It took a while to get down there, but it wasn't really that challenging, but we were proud. Mission accomplished. We found the American River. And it was one of those days where it's like, what a great feeling that was, because it was during the winter time, and so it was a little bit colder. And we started hiking back up the mountain, celebrating. We had to get back, and we started hiking up the cliff. And it started to rain a little bit more. It had been drizzling, but as it began to rain, we said, oh, we better get back. This could be a little bit treacherous. And we kept going, and I was up ahead of Paul because I was the older brother. And we got to the side of the mountain, and we realized this is getting pretty steep. I don't know if we went up the same way that we came down. And I was up ahead, and I got to this one section. Paul was a couple feet below me, and we got to this one section where I couldn't reach the next level. And I looked down at Paul. He was a couple feet below me, and I said, "Can you go down?" And he couldn't go down. And I couldn't go down because he was right below me. We were stuck on the side of the cliff. So we kind of looked at each other and wrestled with that. What are you thinking? And we had no idea what to do. And I looked up ahead of me, and about 2 feet up, there was a bush that I wondered, hey, is the rain causing that bush to maybe loosen? And there was a rock, and I was going to have to almost like step on a rock and jump up to this bush to get myself to this, I guess, safe area. And I said, Paul, I'm going to go for this. And so I did it, and I grabbed the bush, and I climbed up to this safe area, and the bush was stable enough for me to hold. But then there was Paul still down below me. He had to get to my next level, and then he had to somehow get to that bush. And he made it to the level I was just in, and then he couldn't reach that bush. It was like he was about 4 inches shorter than me, which was pretty short. And what do? Do I go get some help? I got to figure out my way back to Auburn to get help. I didn't even know if I could find this place again. Or do I stay there and try to figure out a way to get Paul up the mountain? And we knew that if you fell from where we were up, it was probably 150 feet down, straight down, and guaranteed death. So we looked at each other. We said we loved each other. I held onto the bush, and I reached down, hanging onto the bush over the cliff, and we locked arms. If you can imagine, my little wrist around his little wrist around mine. And I said, step on that rock and jump for the bush with your other hand. And he did. And before he jumped, we told each other we loved each other and said a little prayer. And thank God he made that bush. And we climbed up. And it was probably, as we climbed up the mountain and jogged back to my parents' TV shop, I had never felt so alive in my life. We were both alive like we had never been. We had just dodged it was a near-death experience, but that bond, that lock of the wrists, I'm telling you right now, that helped us through every business we ever started together. And I can tell you for sure we had near-death experiences in our businesses, and it was that bond that helped us through. It was that bond of, I will do anything to save your life, and I know you would do the same for me. Now, I'm sorry for pausing a little bit here. As I think about my brother, I get a little bit choked up, but I can tell you that I know firsthand. I have different businesses now, and I'm in entrepreneur groups, and we all have cliffhanger stories. Cliffhanger stories happen in business. That's what it's all about. We take risks. So no, you are not alone. I'm Mark Haney, and welcome to Entrepreneurs Unlimited. When we come back, we will discuss the strategy behind winning partnerships and cliffhanger stories. And we will have Rick Nelson, entrepreneur and CEO of Direct Technology Group of Companies. And later, we'll bring up the rising stars, the country trio, Auburn Road, who are chasing their teenage dreams of stardom in the competitive world of country music. And we'll be back on Sports 1140, KHTK, and HaneyBiz.com.
Now, here's Mark.
All right, and welcome back. And we are here with the special treat of having entrepreneur, president and CEO of Direct Technology Group of Companies, Rick Nelson in the house. How you doing, Rick?
I'm great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming down here on a Saturday. I know you got a plane to catch, and we have found a way to lock you up in the KHTK studios for the next 20, 30 minutes. So thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
So tell us about the Direct Technologies group of companies. Give us an overview, please.
Well, in 1996, Fred Mashani started what is now Direct Technology, and in 2005, late 2005, myself and John Sircu out of Seattle joined Fred. At the time, the company had 12 employees, and they were building some amazing software that managed 911 phone calls for the state of California, part of the state of California, some energy efficiency workflow automation tools for the utilities in the state of California. And we had an opportunity to join Fred, and the three of us went in together and said, let's see if we can build it. And today we're blessed to have 4 divisions inside of Direct Technology: Launch Consulting and Launch Talent, and then Energy Solutions Group and our 911 business, ECATS.
And total number of employees, all entities?
Just under 400.
Right. So very significant business based right here out of Roseville. Rick, you and your business partners, obviously you've grown the business substantially, and I think of you guys as 3 amigos. How would you describe your relationship with your business partners?
Well, it was great to hear your story about your brother, because it doesn't fall far from that. We're family. We built our contracts so that the most important member of the family is the business, not any one of us. We know each other's families intimately. We take responsibility for each other's families. We know that if something were to happen to one of us, the other 2 would have to pick not only up the business that's left behind, but the family pieces and the personal pieces as well.
And you talked about ground rules earlier that you've set within the partnership, or maybe it's outside the partnership. Tell us about those ground rules and how they've helped you guys stay together.
Well, I think we live on 3 principles. The first principle is that everybody has to do their own part, and that we believe that we have complementary skills rather than similar skills. So that's helped us, and that is that everybody has to go do what they do best. We talk about highest and best use. Behind that, it's trust. Nobody micromanages the other partner. We let each other go. Of course, we have rigor in our business. We have regular communication rhythms. We have all of the methodologies in place so that we stay in touch with each other, but we're not in the other person's business. I'm in charge of sales, as an example. Fred in charge of technology. John in charge of finance, risk management, and those things. And we just trust each other to get those things done. And then finally, everything's equal. It doesn't matter if one of us decides to take an extended vacation, or if one of us is in a job that's quite honestly a little bit easier than another job at a particular time. Everything's even and everything's equal. And that has paid dividends time and time again for us, because you're not judging if you're being treated fairly, because you know that it's always equal. So that's a rule that I would pass on to any entrepreneur that's considering a partnership with someone else, is that keep everything equal and don't try and measure day to day, week to week, month to month who should get more.
How did you guys develop your growth strategy?
Chaos. We really do believe in just create chaos and then solve problems once the chaos is created. So simply put, our growth strategy is this: sell.
Okay.
Sell. If you want to be successful, sell. We run into entrepreneurs all the time that have great ideas or want to deliver world-class services, but they forget they have to sell. Somebody has to say yes. Somebody has to be willing to pay you money. So that's the formula for the basic, which is you have to sell something. But what we really did was we took a look at our market from a consulting perspective, and we were working on really cool projects. I'll give you an example. One of the projects that we did and still work on, we've been working on it for 5 years, we built the first FDA-approved workflow automation tool for the immunotherapy industry, which is oncology treatment for your blood, for cancer patients, company out of Seattle. And the FDA required approval for tracking the blood that had been taken out of the patient and then being reintroduced to the patient later. So then you look at that and you say, well, is there a broader market need for that technology? In that particular case, the answer was too early, not yet. But in other cases where we built our 911 software, which is a reporting tool for the 911 industry, the first time we went to market with it, we got a bunch of no's because California was leading the way in 911 reporting, and the rest of the country hadn't caught up. So 3 years later, we say, well, maybe now we reintroduce the product to the marketplace and it goes hog wild. And now that product is represented in 30% of all the public safety answering points in the United States.
So you have a 30% marketing share in your 911 software.
Yes.
Can you give me an idea what that is again? How does your 911 software help the 911 operator?
Well, thank you. It actually is more for the administrative and management of public safety answering points throughout the United States. I'll give you an example of something that it does. When you make a cell phone call, a 911 cell phone call, it's directed to a tower. The tower directs that to the nearest public safety answering point where they should dispatch your ambulance, your fire truck, your police, whoever's supposed to respond. Occasionally, those towers get out of alignment. And so our software will say, this particular phone call went to that tower but was directed to the wrong public safety answering point. Send somebody out there to fix that tower. The other things it does, it talks about call volume, how many calls came in, where did they go, how did they get transferred, so administrators can then use those reports to budget the appropriate number of seats for a particular public safety answering point.
So you guys are saving lives. You're making things safer with your product. So inspiring, and you're filling a niche that is obviously needed in law enforcement. So Rick, we talked a little bit about business partners, and I want to touch back on that. I called you the three amigos, and you guys do some once-in-a-lifetime types excursions for building camaraderie within the partnership, within your teams. Share what it's like to be the CEO of this company and have the business partners that you have and the fun things that you guys do that are really a part of work.
Well, it's fun to talk about. It definitely is fun to talk about. We have to give most our credit to Crazy John Sirku, who's our partner in Seattle. He's our dream leader, if you will, and has done a great job in creating opportunities. You and I are both part of the Entrepreneurs Organization, and we believe in something called OIL, once-in-a-lifetime experiences. And creating those experiences not only for yourself, but the people in your organization and your customers. So John's gone out and made sure that we've had access to things. As an example, this summer we had a boat up in Alaska, and we were taking customers and employees up to Glacier Bay National Park. We sponsor an Indy race car with Sam Peterson, who's an amazing guy. And I would encourage everybody to go look at Conquer Paralysis Now Foundation. It's Sam's foundation. He was hurt in a race car incident in 2000. He became a quadriplegic, and he's a race car owner and a business owner as well, an entrepreneur you should have on your show. He's an amazing guy. And we had the opportunity to sponsor his race cars, and that gave us a chance to be on the track at Indy as, you know, Helio Esteneves got in his car and the flyover happened, and they said, gentlemen, start your engines. So we've touched a lot of things, and we do believe that that's, you know, the spice of life keeps you going. But this is our number one game. We all love business. We love waking up in the morning thinking about how to grow that business. This is our sport.
I'm Mark Haney. You're listening to Entrepreneurs Unlimited. When we come back, we're going to find out Rick Nelson and his team's philosophy around winning, and we know that winning does not come easy. Again, you're listening to KHTK Sports 1140 and HaneyBiz.com.
Once again, here's Mark Haney.
Welcome back, and we are here with Rick Nelson, entrepreneur, CEO of the Direct Technology Group of Companies. Rick, building businesses is not easy. In your entrepreneurial career, share with us a time when things were pretty tough.
Well, I know we've all had these experiences, and I think they're the things that make us stronger, right? But the first experience I ever had as an entrepreneur, I had come from United Parcel Service. So I'm the UPS guy, and I have a chance to start a business with my kindergarten buddy. And wonderful guy, great entrepreneur, terrific business guy, and we go at it, and we're working our brains out. To make that move, I went from being a UPS manager to being a new startup, right? Running arm in arm with my partner Mike. And we got going, and we finally started to make a little bit of money. We finally started to come over the hump, and our biggest customer went bankrupt.
Oh.
And in a business that had never made really more than, a couple $100,000 in a single year, they held $700,000 plus worth of receivables. And it was Katie bar the door. And you're looking at people that the group was about 17, 18 people at the time. And these folks have been in battle with you. They trusted you, because people that go to work with you when you're an entrepreneur, they're really buying you. And they're trusting you to get through all the difficulties that may come along, because they don't have a big corporate umbrella around them holding their hand. And you got to look at some of those folks and say, we're not going to be able to make it together. You're going to have to go. And that's the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do in my life, is when we have to part company to save the ship. And it's easy to talk about. And when you get into the financials of it, we know it makes sense. If you don't have a company, you can't have any employees. But when you have to sacrifice some, in this case, half, you wonder if it's really worth it. And then you've got to come back from that. You've got to find a way back. And then this is what's great about being an entrepreneur, being a business person, having a family around you when you're at it. Everyone buckles down. And they know what they have to do. And you have people on your team suggesting, let's get rid of the water that we pay to have delivered, because we want to cut all expenses. Our goal is to find a way to at least break even this year. And with great leadership from Mike at that time and other people in the organization, we cut that company in half. We kept it together and grew it to be an extremely successful company. So those experiences continue to happen in your life, where you have to make changes in the business. And outside forces threaten you on a regular basis. But that's kind of the thrill, isn't it? I mean, isn't that why we get in it? That's why we wake up in the morning, because we wonder where our friend Hayes Barnard says the body snatchers are everywhere. I said, hey, what do you mean about body snatchers? He says, Rick, the ones that are trying to take the life out of you.
Yeah.
And so those things happen. And in great partnerships and great businesses with great employees and great teams, you get stronger. And you always survive those. So that's my take on the hard times.
What was the key to you guys sticking together? Everybody came together. Is there one lesson that we can learn from how you brought your team together to, instead of everybody giving you the middle finger, they stuck together? How?
First and foremost, you have to be honest. First and foremost, you have to tell the truth. When you're in trouble, when times are tough, you have to say, times are tough. Then you have to lead by example. If you're going to ask people to go to a 12-hour day, if you're going to ask people to stop drinking the water in the office, if you're going to ask for that, then you better do the same thing. You can't show up at noon and leave at 3. Those are the kinds of things that bring people together. But I believe that the normal human spirit wants to win and wants to survive. And when challenged, they don't flee. They fight. And they fight for you, and they fight for them, and they fight for the business, which is the body of work that you're all contributing to. That's what I really believe, and I've seen it time and time again. And I think my faith in that is stronger than my faith in most things.
And now you've built a company with 400 employees. Things are going great. You're traveling all over the world. You've survived some near-death experiences. What keeps you up at night today?
You're gracious. I haven't been all over the world yet. I'm going to try and get there. What keeps you up is the idea that these people in your organization are dependent on you, and their families are dependent on you. And maybe that's making too much out of it, but I think if you approach it that way, you'll always try and do your very best. And so you ask yourself, am I still relevant? There's an old saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. There's no passive ground. There's no 300-person, 400-person companies that are still 300-person, 400-person companies after 8 years. So what keeps me up at night is the thrill of the hunt and the excitement of being able to chase down different visions. And we fail. You just don't talk about the failure, right? And you just keep pushing forward. So that's what keeps me up at night. It's not a sadness or a worry. It's actually an excitement and an enthusiasm to say, what can I do today to grow even more than we already have, to be even better than we already are? Can we make our products better, more relevant? Can we grow more jobs in this community? Those kind of things fire me up.
What do you envision for Direct Technologies and the group of companies? Continued growth, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're gonna keep growing. We just have the most amazing folks on our team. We have some of the most incredible technologists working with us. Our vision is that we'll take these companies, continue to grow them, and in the relevant time and place, decide whether they become standalone businesses on their own, or if we create bigger entities with them. No matter what we do, we want to create career pathing opportunities for the people that have committed themselves to us. We're entrepreneurs at heart, so we see an opportunity to take some of these technologists. I think in 2016, we have a plan to look at a program that might say, okay, we're going to have a little bit of a mini Shark Tank, if you will, inside our own company, because these folks are coming up with ideas all the time. And they'll present to the board, and we'll fund a startup for someone that's been with us over a long period of time and see if we can't help that person get their dream off the ground. So those are the kind of things we see we have capability to do, and then we want to execute against. That will create retention and the ability to hire in our community, because people know when they come here, they can career path and possibly be entrepreneurs on their own and live out their own dreams. That's our thought.
Very inspiring. What sacrifices do you make on the personal level to build this dream?
Well, early on, and I guess I'm speaking to younger entrepreneurs, because you have to give everything to it. There's no backup. There's no, if it doesn't work, I'll go do this. You should just go do that right now. In that first example I told you in my first business, when I came out of UPS and started as an entrepreneur, I literally sat in a closed office and cried for 2 weeks, tears streaming down my face. Because what had I done to my family? I had a baby, and I'm working for 1/3 the salary that I had before, and I had no benefits. It's a startup. So that's all there is. You have to be in it 100%. So imagine how that makes your wife feel, or your spouse, or your children. And you're giving it all. And by the way, there's a little bit of you that wants to give it all. There's a little bit of you, if you're honest with yourself, that says, yeah, I know I'm kind of leaving my wife out, but I am chasing my dream. You got to come to terms with that. So the sacrifice, I don't know how to say that any bigger than it's everything you can give it, and then a little bit more, so everything on the periphery suffers.
So inspiring and so real. Your wife is running for assembly, and I know that the wives of your business partners are close. How do the wives feel about this dream that the three amigos are building? Are they excited? Does it stress them out?
Oh, that's a great question. My wife and my partner, John's wife, have been friends since 6th grade. And when we were going to put this business partnership together, we were sitting in the kitchen, and we discussed with them. We let them know we were thinking about doing it. And they went off with a glass of wine, came back, and they said, we don't care what you do as long as what you do doesn't break this friendship up. And that's what we've worked towards forever. And then Gabby, Fred's wife, professional photographer, amazing lady. They've all become very close. And thank you for mentioning my wife, Christy Nelson, 6th District Assembly. I'll give her a little plug right there.
Yeah, so that's got to be distracting in a good way for you and the family?
Oh, it's actually the best thing that's ever happened, because if you think about it, she's on her own entrepreneurial quest. She's selling every day. She's selling herself. She's selling her services. She's selling her thoughts. She's asking for votes. She needs money to, so she's out there. She's working the phones every morning just like a young entrepreneur would. I couldn't be more proud. And if you get an opportunity where everybody in your family is chasing their personal dream at the same time, that's the dream come true.
Magic. So you have people that want to be business partners with you. You have a number of companies. You've acquired companies. What do you look for in a business partner and in a CEO, somebody to take over one of your companies or to do a startup with?
Great question. Thank you. And I don't even know if you know this yet, Mark, but Yatish Mishra, who was the CEO of Raging Wire and then went out to the East Coast to build a few companies, he's come home and he's decided he wanted to start a new venture in managed services for cloud. And he had asked us, would you mind being a customer? And I said, well, no, I'm not going to be your customer. I'm going to be your partner. So we've merged together, and Avero is the name of Yatish's company. He's going to incubate right in our offices in Douglas Boulevard. We're super excited about it. So I answer your question this way. Yatish brings everything that I look for in a business partner. He brings a proven track record, unbelievable work ethic, incredible tenacity for success. He's a business athlete. He steps forward and says, this is my sport. I train for it every day. I love the big game, and I'm coming to play. And I can't tell you how exciting it is to have that energy in the office, brand new startup, and really a masterful guy and an amazing guy that we get to stand shoulder to shoulder for the next few years to see what we can do with that business.
Rick Nelson, sharing his dreams, his entrepreneurial story here on Entrepreneurs Unlimited. When we come back, we are going to meet the young musical group Auburn Road, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Once again, here's Mark Haney.
And welcome back. That song in the background is Friday Night Lights, my new favorite song. Wow. We are here honored to have the girls from Auburn Road here on the show. We have Kristen Brown, Paxton Martin, and Alicia Paulson, and they are here to share their entrepreneurial story. They have a new record coming out. I guess they don't call it a record anymore, do they? What do you guys have coming out? Tell us what you guys are doing.
It's an EP album. It has 7 total songs on it. One of them is an a cappella piece. The other 6 songs we wrote ourselves.
And that one is Friday Night Lights. Can you give us a... So I've heard you guys have played at some events that I've been involved with, and my take is that it's kind of a Taylor Swift meets Carrie Underwood type of sound. What's the best way to describe what your sound is, what your music is about?
We have many musical influences, and when we say Carrie Underwood to Taylor Swift, that's just the surface of who Auburn Road is. We listen to everything, to Avril, to have that sound, to have gospel music with us. We have all these different layers to Auburn Road. So I would say, yeah, Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood. But we're so much more as well.
Now, Paxton, you're the quiet one. Last few times we've been around you, you've been a little bit quieter, and you jumped up early. So, okay, this is a question at Paxton. How does each of you, in your business partnership, what does each of you bring? Tell us a little bit about that.
We each bring a lot of stuff. Like, we each bring different emotions and different experiences to the table. When we write, especially, we're all very different girls. But what we what we have is so different. I mean, we're all playing instruments now as
Alicia,
well.
yeah,
So
how would you answer that?
We also, we're actually the same because we've been together for so long.
Oh, you guys are starting to become the same.
Yeah, we have the same opinion on a lot of things, but at the same time, we do have different experiences, and we are very different girls, but at the same time, we complement each other. Yeah, we do.
Okay. Yeah. So now, Alicia, how would you describe Kristen? Is she...
Go for it, Alicia. I'm ready.
Give us the truth.
No, she is seriously the most sentimental, sweetest person I've ever met in my life. She is my sister, and she's one of those people that is the first one. When she sees on Twitter or something that, like, something's wrong, she's the first one to call you and say, hey, are you okay? Like, is there anything going on? You want to talk? She's just always that first person to
aren't
be
you
there
the
for you. I'm just being honest.
Now, Kristen, is this a business, or is this just you guys doing this for fun? What inspires you?
You know, it really is a business, but, I mean, we love what we do, so that's what makes it all worth it. But I mean, when you start singing, when we started out, we thought it was just, sing, you record, you're done. But there's so much more to it. Like with writing the songs, you have to figure out splits for after you write it, for who gets paid what. Right. You have to make sure everyone has their input in on everything. There's a lot of opinions, and there's just a lot that goes to it. Photo shoots, making sure everyone has everything together for whatever you're gonna do.
How do you make a decision when the three of you don't agree?
We have a manager, and he's kind of the mediator in a way, but we're very proactive in that way. We can kind of step back and look at things from different perspectives, so we always come to a conclusion.
Right.
And this is Alicia talking. So, Alicia, what has been the toughest times that you've gone through since you started?
We used to be 5 girls, and within a couple months, 2 of them dropped out. And that was a lot because we had worked already for, a year and a half together. So we had all these arrangements. We had all this trust in each other, and it kind of just, it didn't fall apart, but it was definitely a rough patch.
Yeah.
But we never thought about quitting through that whole thing. We knew we could get through it. So
It made us stronger,
yeah, definitely made us stronger. It made us work harder. It stopped us because in 5 voices you can kind of hide behind each other in a way. So now that it's 3, we become better vocalists because we have to really step it up.
Any lessons learned, Kristen?
You know, I think at the end of the day, it really, like Alicia said, it built all of our trusts in each other, and like we were close, but now we're the same person.
Okay, so now you guys have this hot shot manager, Michael Anderson. How did you guys end up choosing the manager? How did you agree on that?
Actually, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
It's a funny story because before, when we were 5, we were working with this choreographer named Pepper Vaughn. And we were in a situation where it was like, oh, what's the next level? We need someone.
We needed someone.
And so he connected us to Michael, and Michael said no twice.
What?
Yeah.
He really loved us.
He's glad now that we convinced him.
Yeah.
But we were a different group before. So.
Right.
Like, we couldn't have done any of this without him, though.
No,
Nothing.
he's helped a lot.
And now your record or your EP
Yeah.
is boy, I sound old, don't I? So it's just coming out. What do you want to do with this opportunity?
Well, that's a really good question.
We definitely want to tour.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely a big thing. We would
really-
love to tour.
Yeah, we want to share our music with as many people as we can. We want to get as many people to hear at least one song and just see if they can get the emotions that we were trying to get them to feel when we wrote the songs.
And now that it's done, we're not just stopping. We're already
No.
working on the next album.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, we're not
Wow.
gonna just
Keep
put
pushing
it.
it.
I'm not just gonna put it out there and just see what happens. We're gonna work really hard to promote it.
If people want to hear your music, if people want to see you perform, what should they be doing right now? What should they be writing down a number? Should they be writing down your YouTube channel or?
Right now, they should be going to Auburn Road Music at pretty much everything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Auburn Road Music, that's where you'll find everything about us.
Yeah.
All right. And when we come back, the girls are going to sing my old favorite song, and I'm going to share some closing thoughts. I want to thank Rick for being on the show. I want to thank the girls from Auburn Road. You're beautiful. You've got great voices. I want to thank our sponsors. And when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about business partnerships and end with a very patriotic version of my old favorite song. I think you guys all know what it is. When we come back in just a moment.
Once again, here's Mark.
I think it was clear from talking to Rick Nelson and talking to the girls from Auburn Road that these bonds that business partners share are key in holding things together and key in advancing your dream. And I'm going to share a quick story about a business where we were literally we didn't really realize it, but we were in a cliffhanging situation ourselves. My brother and I went 17 years later after we had got stuck on the side of the mountain, and we had gotten ourselves into debt heavily, owned some video stores, had just bought our older brother out, and we're $1 million in debt, more than our net worth for sure, 27, 28 years old. And we had this opportunity for a little get rich quick, make a buck, loaned a guy $100,000. This guy that we knew as a rich guy had been a supplier to us, loaned $100,000 to him, and he was going to pay us back in 30 days and give us half of the 35,000 square foot building that he owned and take us to Hawaii. And so we're going to get paid back in 30 days, get a half of this building. Shoot. He was in a lawsuit with Panasonic. And so it just seemed like, oh, this is too good to be true. $100,000, let's do this. So we borrowed down on our line of credit for opening up more video stores and loaned the guy some money. 30 days later, he came back to us and he said, hey guys, I'm at the tail end of this lawsuit and I just need I need $250,000. We looked at each other and it was like, well, I mean, if you don't if we don't loan this to you, our 100 grand's done. He's like, yeah, but don't worry. We're at the closing arguments, and we'll pay you back. And tell you what, I'll give you the entire building, this entire 35,000 square foot building. I just need this to get over the hump. I'm suing them for $100 million. They're suing me back, and so on. And when I win, don't worry. I'll take care of you guys. Okay. So we borrowed down our line of credit, loaned him $250. We're in $350 now. 30 days later, it's the end of April, and he comes back and he says, I just need another $117,000. I mean, I'll pay you back in a week. We're this far in, borrowed some more money, paid us back. He said, this time I'll give you half of it. I'll give you this company I have. It's called Northern. And I'm like, okay, great. It was a video hardware store video hardware distributorship that sold to the government. And, they had done pretty well in the Gulf War, and I think they were about $4 million in sales. And at the end of April that year, he files bankruptcy. We get put on credit hold with the manufacturers. We are stuck. We are in no man's land. But that bond that we spoke of, that Auburn Road spoke of, kicked in. We sold our way out of it the way Rick talked about, and somehow we survived it. We had a few more cliffhanging stories. And with that said, we lived the American dream to the best that we could, built a company, and obviously have had some success. And speaking of the American dream, I want to bring up the girls from Auburn Road to sing my old favorite song. Welcome, girls. Sing away.
3 and
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was off the charts. Thank you. And my closing thoughts. I'm glad I have one more minute left because I need to get this out. And this is a message to my current business partners and the current CEOs of my company. You are rock stars. You are the lead singers of our rock band. And I can tell you right now, this is a message again to my current business partners and maybe some of my future business partners. I want to let you know right now that I will hold on. I do not let go, and I will stay by your side. Never above you, never below you. Always by your side.